Hello friends, and welcome to Gardening with Creekside. If you think that there is nothing to do in your garden in February and that you cannot be planting beautiful plants that are going to bring you years of gorgeous color in your shade garden, then I'm here to kind of prove you wrong, my friends. That's right, we're going to do a little tough love, and I'm going to say that yes, you absolutely can be planting in your garden in February. Now, especially if you are in these warmer zones like I am, of course, North Carolina, a zone 8A. So what we're going to be doing today, we are here in the Woodland garden at the back of the signature garden, and I am going to be adding beautiful evergreen plants for the shade garden. Y'all, I am talking gorgeous hellebores that are blooming, stunning camellias that are blooming, and then those great structure plants that are going to give us great evergreen color year-round, Aspidistra or cast iron plants. So if you have a shade garden that is looking a little sad and bleak this time of year, I want you to get comfy, grab your gardening journal, because we're going to come along and we are going to have a little education on how to plant these beautiful evergreens, adding this garden design element to your shade garden that you are going to enjoy for the years and years to come. Oh, I am so excited about this. All right, so February is, historically, whether you're a gardener or not, it seems like February just goes on and on and on forever. Well, there are some beautiful plants that we can add literally right now, because this is the perfect time to be adding these plants to your garden, because you can see, especially we're talking about our shade garden today, what are you lacking? Are you lacking color? Are you lacking texture and structure? Do you want some flowers? Well, I have got the plants for you. So let's take a look and see what plants we're going to be adding, because y'all, I'm telling you, just hold on to your socks, because you're going to be blown away by the beautiful flowers. Yes, flowers in the February garden. So excited about this. You can see that Johnny is filled to the brim with color, structure, and yes, flowers. So let's start first. Where shall we start? Oh my goodness. Let's start with this gorgeous camellia. So this camellia is a japonica, meaning that it's blooming this time of year. This is April Remembered, and April Remembered is an absolutely beautiful soft pink with a little bit of white, a little bit of that yellow in the eye, and she is gorgeous. Look at this bud that is going to be opening up. Lovely. So of course your camellias are going to be for those warmer zones, and your japonicas tend to be your larger camellias over time. This is going to be 6 to 8 feet tall, 4 to 6 wide, hardy in zones 6 to 9. So hello, my people who are in zone 6, you can do April Remembered, and this will be for sun to part shade. If you're in a zone 6, absolutely full sun. If you're in a zone 8 and 9, definitely want to put this in like more of a shadier area, which is what we're going to be doing. So why do we want to add camellias to the garden? If you are in those warmer zones, even in zone 6, you can do April Remembered, and there are certain ones that you can do. You can be a little bit more selective. So we love adding camellias, because this is the plant that you're going to add to your garden for your future self, because camellias are historically a little bit of a slower grower. While I talk, y'all can have the entertainment of the dog behind me with her stick. So your camellias are a slower grower. So again, you're planting this for your future self, for your children or grandchildren or whoever may be coming after you. And so we get those beautiful glossy green leaves, and then of course the flowers in the garden when everything else is looking a little sad. If you want fall flowers, we add sasanquas, and if you want the winter blooming into spring, we add japonicas. So we have got the April Remembered, and then we also have Brushfield's Yellow. Now, Brushfield's Yellow is not blooming yet, but let me show you this cutie, which is going to be, oh, I cannot wait to see this thing bloom. All right, so it's not a whole lot to look at right now. This is a 3-gallon, but she has got buds all over her. So remember how I said that you plant camellias for your future self? This is one of those plants, but Brushfield Yellow is going to give us yellow, creamy white flowers that are like almost like a peony style, unbelievably gorgeous. So as you know, we are getting ready to open up the garden center. So we've been doing tons of like plant orders. And I saw that because we were ordering camellias, right? Camellias, because 'tis the season. And they only had 3 of this Brushfield's yellow. I was going to get like a ton of them, but they only had 3. So I'm just going to tell my local people, I do not have the Brushfield's yellow here because, full disclosure, they only had 3. So I got 1, Mimi got 1, and Cece got 1. But I did see that Wilson Brothers has them online. So if you fall in love with this camellia like I did, head over to Wilson Brothers. You can order it, and I think they're shipping like right now. So last I checked, it was in stock. So it is a gorgeous one. Of course, I think this one's gonna be like hardy in zones at 7 and warmer. I don't think it's as cold hardy. We'll put the information up there for you. So camellias, add camellias to your garden. And then next, look at this beauty. Yep. Aspidistras. Aspidistras, of course, are cast iron plants. Mimi is a huge fan of cast iron plants because she has dry shade. So we add Aspidistra cast iron plants to our shade garden because they are evergreen. They give us structure year-round, and they come in a wide range of sizes. Some of them are tall, some of them are short. You get some with this beautiful speckled color. You get some that have stripes. You have some that just stay green. I mean, there are a ton of options with your Aspidistras. Let me show you the 2 because I'm going to add 2 different ones here that are very, very different from one another that are going to give us beautiful form and structure and color even in the dead of winter. This beauty is in a 3-gallon pot. This is Spek-takular. And so Spek-takular has, of course, those creamy yellow speckles all over it. Clearly, it is going to be a good height to it. I would say in that 2.5 to 3 feet tall. And it is going to give us, like I said, nice, like these leaves are nice and fat with that gorgeous color on them. Oh my goodness. I have 3 of them in here that we're going to add. And then we have Tiny Tank. So Tiny Tank gets its name because it's nice and short. This is as tall and as high as it is going to be. And you can see the leaves here are just going to be a solid green. Now, your cast iron plants are historically for your warmer zones, basically like a zones at 7 to 9. Now, if you have more like a deciduous woodland garden like I do, you may notice at this time of year where some of your cast iron plants are getting a little, quote, burned or a little washed out. Don't worry about it. They will pop out just fine. Mimi has tons of pine trees, of course, so hers are not getting this kind of like even this burn a little bit on this in the summer, in the winter sun, but it is okay, not a problem. So Tiny Tank's going to be in that like 12 to 18 inches tall, whereas the Spek-takular is going to be bigger and then that gorgeous color. And then I'm telling you, if you are not growing hellebores in your gardens, zones 5 to 9, you are missing out on the most fantastic, low maintenance, beautiful perennial plants that give you color in this time of year where we are just desperate for flowers. I have got 2 that I'm going to be mixing together in a mass planting. So this is the Ice and Roses Picotee. And so Picotee has, of course, that beautiful, that cream, almost a little bit of a hint of a yellow to it with that beautiful pinky rose mauve, and then, of course, that yellow eye. And then just look at these back there. Are they not gorgeous? And then we have Megan Marble. This, too, is part of the Ice and Roses. And there is a whole marble series. They have really neat leaf coloring to them. This one is a wet because it was out in the dew, so they have a little bit more of a kind of a little bit of a silver overlay. If you can kind of see this one, you can have a little bit more veining in it. Of course, I had to get Megan Marble because our middle child, her name is Megan, and so we have to add Megan to the garden. So I have got a whole collection of these that we are going to add. But it is a gorgeous day here in North Carolina. It is early in the morning. Clearly the sun is out and shining. We are going to hit like almost close to 70 degrees today. But it is that late winter, feels like spring some days here in North Carolina. And I just want to let you know that even though it is going in towards late February, when it has definitely still technically winter, but we have those days where it feels like spring. That is, you know, this is what happens in the South. I am completely safe to add these plants to the garden right now. In fact, I want to go ahead and add these plants to the garden because this is the Woodland garden. There is not a drop of irrigation in this garden. So I am adding these plants right now to the garden. And the reason that you should be adding plants to your garden, if you are in that similar zone as I am, in the region. If you're covered in snow, take this video and apply it in about 4 to 6 weeks. There you go. But we want to go ahead and add these plants now because we're going to have beautiful root growth before the summer hits, which is so incredibly important in these southern warmer zones. I don't really worry too much about my winter, right? We have very mild winters compared to the rest of the country. It is the summer that I have to worry about. The heat, the humidity, the stress on the plants. So I want to get these babies in the ground now and get those roots established before the summer heat hits. This would be a great time to be adding hostas and ferns and brunnera and pulmonaria. All of those shade-loving plants, especially if you do not have irrigation where you can be main help, you know, get that extra help in the heat of the summer. Let's add these plants now. Y'all, is going to make a huge difference. All right, so what we're going to do next is figure out where these babies are going to go and then get them in the ground. I'll meet you back here once I have kind of their placement figured out. Okay, my friends, so I have gotten all of the Hellebores planted. I got the Brushfield yellow Camellia planted, and I got the 3 tiny tank Aspidistra planted. So just in a full disclosure, because you know I'm all about keeping it real and honest around here, you may notice that the sun is in a different direction than it was, 10 seconds ago. That's because we had a sweet colleague come and spend the vast majority of the day with us. We went out to lunch, had a great time, so I had to kind of put this project on hold while we went and did some fellowship and some work. But I'm back at it because you know what? There's grace in gardening, and to have a whole dedicated time block just to get a whole project done is a rare but yet beautiful thing. But you know what? We are getting it done. I am loving how these Hellebores have come together in the garden. My goal when planting the Hellebores in this section was to make it look like there is a whole colony outcropping of the Hellebores. I wanted them to look, quote, natural, a little bit random, mixed together. But because we have such a thick leaf litter right here, they really just, you can't even tell that they've just been planted. And so mixing that Megan marble and the Picotee really, of course, brings that brightness and that light, airy kind of color to it. I've already got bumblebees and honeybees rather on the Hellebores, and so there was a total of 9 Megans and 6 of the Picotee in here, and just got them kind of all mixed around. And then in the center is the yellow Camellia. So, and I was thinking about that yellow Camellia. Of course, I like to look at it in the grand scheme of things, right? So when we're standing back here in the grass, we have got like some dogwoods, we've got Japanese maples in here, the fairy trail white hydrangeas are down in here. So just developing this garden with all of these gorgeous, gorgeous Hellebores. Now, this really is the perfect time of year to buy your Hellebores because you can see exactly what those flowers are going to look like. We have got a beautiful selection. See, there she is, that little honeybee. So we have got a beautiful selection of Hellebores that are in bloom right now at the garden center. So yeah, they're available and ready to come and be added to your garden. Now, let's gonna come up here on the little road that is behind where these Hellebores are planted. And so there is this little road that is kind of divides this garden between the hill and then the woodland garden to the left. And this is where I put the tiny tanks because in the morning, this was in the shade at the base of this tree. I was trying to figure out what kind of tree it is. I'm not sure, it might be an oak tree or it's a beech tree. I can't tell y'all, it doesn't matter. The tiny tanks are planted in a group right here at the base of the tree. Because tiny tank does stay nice and small and petite, I wanted to put it closer to where people could actually like see it, as opposed to the Spek-takular is nice and big, so it can hold its own in the middle of the bed. So having this tiny tanks right here, fantastic. Now, what we're going to do is I have got still the 3 Spek-takulars and the April Remembered. Y'all, look at this. This bloom has opened up this much since I showed it to you earlier. Look at that, that's the same bloom. Isn't it gorgeous? Love it, love it, love it, love it. So we are going to move on down the road right in this direction and find out where those Spek-takulars and the April Remembered are gonna go. So all of these shade-loving evergreen shrubs, perennials, they are in the ground. I even got April Remembered put in the ground. I am so proud of myself. All the plants are in. This is going to be an absolutely gorgeous garden. It is adding beauty with each addition we make. So if you are looking for a low maintenance shade garden, then these are some great options for you, especially my fellow Southerners with the Camellias, the Aspidistra, the Hellebores. Of course, Hellebores, they have a huge range that they can go in. So even my colder friends, you can add those to your garden as well. Let me show you kind of the grand picture and give you the overall scheme on everything. But the sun is coming over the hill and it was hitting April Remembered. It was just magical. Let me show you. Look at this, y'all. Is this just not an absolutely beautiful addition? You've got those nice evergreen leaves, and then you have got these beautiful flowers. It is covered in buds. It is just going to be such a lovely addition. Again, we are planting for the future when we plant camellias, for sure. I will say also that historically all three of these plants, camellias, aspidistra, hellebores, tend to be on the slower growing side. So this is why I am adding them as quickly as I can to this shade garden, because they're going to take their time getting established. But once they are established and they are happy, they could easily probably outlive me. These are going to be long-lived perennials and shrubs in this woodland garden. So when you're thinking about your garden design, especially when you're starting with a blank slate, like I did with this woodland garden hill at the pond, you want to be thinking about putting in what I call your bones. Put those bones in first. Those are going to be maybe your slowest growing, but eventually get to be your biggest plants. Camellias, trees, Japanese maples, right? Those are the kinds of things we're talking about with bones. But bones can also be your Aspidistra, the Spek-takular, because they're going to be evergreen. They give me structure. They give me a different shape in the garden. Again, historically very slow growing, but if they're happy, they are going to live for decades, literally. So we're thinking about adding those bones, get the big structure in, and then we go back in and add all of those other fun elements. So I am just getting started on this garden. This is going to be a garden that is in progress for years to come. And honestly, if you've been gardening for any length of time, you know that a garden is never finished, right? We are continually adding, changing. The garden is changing. We have to adapt. Situations change, light changes. All of those things happen, so we're constantly adapting and growing with our garden. And speaking of growing with our garden, sometimes our garden tells us where plants are going to go. So I put the three Spek-takulars right here behind the holly tree. So this is the holly tree right here. The spring that feeds the pond is right at the base of the holly tree. And I was thinking that the Aspidistra would be really pretty kind of up on the hill, more in this general direction. Well, I went to go drill my holes and the ground said no, it was not going to happen at all. If I really wanted to make it happen, I could have gotten one of the boys with the bobcat to drill the hole, but it wasn't worth it. So I moved on down about, I don't know, 8 feet, and right here where they ended up, it was much more conducive soil. While it is still quite rocky in this entire garden, it was much more forgiving, and I was able to get them in nice and snug. And then of course, having all of the leaves that have fallen throughout the fall, I have got a beautiful selection of leaves to go ahead and mulch them with. So the thing is, you can't even tell that they've been freshly planted. So using the Jenny's Edition, that was the 9-inch auger with that heavy duty tip. Y'all, I could not have used just any regular old auger to do this, because this hill is very compact clay soil and tons of rocks. I didn't run into roots. If I ran into roots, like they were massive, like, you know, the size of my arm, and it was obvious I wasn't going to cut through those, so I just had to move 6 inches a different direction. But there's so many rocks in this garden, and the auger held it like a champion. Did not even go through one full battery. So that was the thing, is I was quite impressed that my battery length held up the entire time. So I got all of the plants planted on one battery, and I probably could have kept on going. But when you're using that heavy duty tip on it, it just cuts through, and it just was kicking the rocks out big time. So there's no way, like I said, that any other auger would have done that. But that Jenny's Edition, man, it worked like a champion. So when people are like, oh my gosh, well, it won't work in my rocky soil. Yes, it will. Now, if you have boulders the size of a car, then no, it's not going to work. But if you have, quote, average size rocks, even a rock, you know, like up the size of your fist or bigger, it will kick it out. So it worked really well. But it feels good to have this done. I'm not going to lie, I'm a tired puppy. We've had 2 really, really full days of life, just lifing, and so hopefully tomorrow we can take it a little bit easier. I am going to show you tomorrow. I'm not going to show you right now. It's going to be a little teaser because tomorrow they have made extremely great work on the barn expansion. So I can't wait to share that with you tomorrow. And then we have yet another delivery of plants coming in to the nursery, so stay tuned for tomorrow, because remember, the garden center opens this Saturday, February 21st, and y'all, I'm not gonna lie, the weather is looking iffy. Last year it was like 38 and rain. This year it's going to be warmer, but they're still calling for some rain. We're going to be here and we're going to have gorgeous plants for you, so please come see us. 2 years in a row of a rainy opening, but that's what happens when you choose to open in February. At least it's not ice. So we will be here and the plants will be here. It will be gorgeous. We have a gorgeous selection for you. So if you're in the area, if you were thinking about coming, please come. Just put your rain boots on and your raincoat and wear your hat. Ladies, don't put any makeup on. Don't worry about fixing your hair. Like, Jenny's going to be looking pretty, I am going to be dressed for the weather. Let's just say that. And so we are going to be so excited to see you. And so remember, in February, the 21st and the 28th is just Saturdays. So it's just the 2 Saturdays in February. But then beginning in March, we're going to be open our normal Wednesday through Saturday. The weather's going to turn fast, I promise. And so be prepared and have the plants and all of your supplies and come see us. We'll have all sorts of gorgeous selections just like this, plus much more. So that's tomorrow that I'm going to show you that. All right, y'all, I'm going to go get a hot shower and have some supper and hit the sack. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye, friends.